Let's go, folks. Time for the Gibby Show.
How you doing, baseball fans? And welcome to another edition of the Gibby Show, presented by Miller Lite, the official beer of Major League Baseball and the Gibby Show. Opening day is come and gone. The baseball season is in full swing as we begin the first full week of action. I'm John Arezzi, and with me, back from a quick trip to Canada, the man with a new book coming out this week, the former member of the 86 world champion New York Mets, the two-time manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, the baseball lifer himself, direct from San Antonio, Texas. At least I think so. He's been traveling so much. Let's bring on John Gibbons. John, how you doing, Gibby?
Johnny, thanks, pal. Hey, what an introduction, man. I'm ready to get into that ring, man.
You are. I'm telling you, it's an exciting weekend for wrestling fans. There was WrestleMania, but you had a little bit of a trip, not to WrestleMania, but you were up in Canada this week. You did an appearance. You have your book coming out this week. And tell us about what was going on with you. You were up there for a few days.
Yeah, you know what? I went out to a little town called Veteran, Canada. Most people never even heard of it unless you're from there. Yeah, I think there's just a few hundred people, right? It's a farming livestock town and ranching, and just some great people. But there was a gentleman out there who started. It's called the Neutral Hills Baseball Academy, and he wanted me to come out, and I did. It was a little banquet. I had a great time. Met some great people. So yeah, and then like you said, the book's coming out this week, and it's been a little crazy, but it's been a lot of fun. It really has, and. I was excited. Baseball started, all of us now, we can see every day. Something's going on every day, right?
Oh, without a doubt. It was a busy weekend. We'll touch upon all of that. The trip to Canada, by the way, was a nice opportunity to pick up a Tim Hortons. I saw a social media post of yours, and you had a chance to visit Tim Hortons up there, too.
Roll up to win, baby. Yeah, I love Tim Hortons. I told you that, man. Of course, I had to get the honey crawler, and if you get one in the morning, man, your day usually works out better, man. You wait too long, you don't get one at all. You know what?
It's a good way to start the day, isn't it?
It's a good way to start the day.
Absolutely. Speaking of Tim's, they are the sponsors of the Gabbing with Gibby segment of the show, and today we're going to have the Blue Jays second baseman on with us, Whit Merrifield, joining us, of course, brought to you by Tim Hortons. We will have that Gabbing with Gibby segment coming up later in the show. We'll talk about the Jays' first series of the season against the St. Louis Cardinals. They lost 2 or 3, plus some early injuries in baseball right now. A big debut for a Japanese sensation who made a very impressive debut. We'll have another roast and toast inspired by our friends at Miller Lite. And we'll talk about an upcoming, or actually a live auction that's taking place right now with the Special Olympics your wife, Christy, is involved with. So let's get right to the leadoff, John. The opening weekend of the season for the Blue Jays. I have to say that I kind of categorize this opening series as the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the good, obviously, was the win on opening day. It was a slugfest, back and forth. It was, 5 hits by Springer. It was 4 hits by Bo. It was just 19 hits the Jays banged out, and they won 10-9. It was like a slugfest. But I want to get into Alek Manoah and his start, John. I'm sure that you had an opportunity to review it. He didn't fare well. He really just looked like very emotional. Couldn't get his rhythm. Tell us about that. Did it have something to do maybe with the pitch clock? Is it opening day? Because he had those same anxiety feelings in the playoff last year. And now you come back to opening day, another big event. What do you think's going on with Manoah? And does he need to settle down a little bit?
Yeah, Johnny, there's nothing wrong with this kid. That's for sure. You know what? There's you gotta remember he's a human being like everyone out there. Normally, if I remember right, I'm speaking mainly when I was a player, and then some of the years I was coaching. Opening days are a little dead. They throw you out of whack. They throw you anyway. You're distracted. You're getting tugged every way, and in the excitement and the anticipation, you get out of your routine a lot of times, right? But then also, I'm used to seeing like great, well-pitched games and low-scoring games, because normally the pitchers are ahead of the hitters. It always seems like, like that to me. And a lot of times you're starting out in cold environments. Here with St. Louis looked like a nice day, but there's nothing wrong with Alek Manoah. The sky is not falling. Even they lose 2 out of 3 there. St. Louis is a good team, but they you got to pitch. There's no doubt. But St. Louis had their problems there too. Until the end. So that's just part of it. He's still a young kid. I'd put my money on him any chance I got if I had to. I don't want to.
And the post-game comments from him were really just kind of like, hey, it happens, and we got the win, and he seemed relaxed, and he seemed happy, and it didn't seem to be bothering him as much because it is the beginning of the season. Things happen. You got to get adjusted to the pitch clock. So, like you said, he's a good young kid. He's got that Buffalo mentality that you love much, so he's going to be fine.
And like he said himself, they got the win. That's you know what? Yeah. Every game's different, but you look at St. Louis too, right? They got a good pitching staff. They didn't have anybody in that bullpen get anybody out.
Right.
Miles Michaelis, who started, is one of the top pitch starters in the game. He was actually, when I managed the year in 2012 in Double A with the Padres, he was my closer here. He went off to Japan and figured it out. But yeah, he doesn't normally have outings like that. It just happens, and then you go through the bullpens and nobody can get anybody out until you get to Jordan Romano. Thank God he did.
Yeah.
But the guy we're talking to today, Whit, with all those hits getting thrown around, just a measly old walk he got starting off the 9th inning down by a run against a closer, started it all and allowed him to get the win. It's just, you got to, a win's a win. Sometimes you win ugly, but
a win is a win. It was part of the good, bad, and the ugly, and I think that was the good part of the weekend for the Jays. It was their 4th straight opening day win, and they're 5-1 in their last 6 opening days on the road. So before we get to the bad, I'm going to get to the ugly a little bit, and I felt really bad for Kevin Gausman. He really pitched a quality game. And the defense let them down a little bit. And here's something that the team focused on. We got to get our defense better. Could have been an anomaly, but Chapman made a key error in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And then the next hitter, slid one down the third baseline. He just out of his reach. So it was kind of an ugly game, and especially the Jays didn't even have a hit until the 7th inning. So it was a little ugly, this game.
Yeah, but you know what? If you look, they got a great defensive team.
Oh yeah.
Chapman. He's a Gold Glover. He didn't win last year. He should have, but he didn't win. They just happened. He's not gonna. I guarantee he's gonna get an error somewhere along the way. He's gonna probably have a few more. But he's gonna do? He's gonna take away hits. He's gonna save your runs. Yeah, but you look at this. St. Louis pitcher. He couldn't throw strikes. Right. Sometimes that's
he walked 7. Even though, he had no hits in his 5 innings that he was in the game, he still walked 7 and he hit a guy.
Yeah. But you know what? He made some big pitches, or sometimes you get those atom balls, man. Guys hit balls right at guys. That's baseball. But gosh, Blue Jays got a good team. That's the bottom line. But every game's not going to be good, and I'm not taking it lightly. I'm not making an excuse for anybody, but I understand it. And I've been there, done it. If the team wasn't very good, I'd say, get ready, folks. You're going to see a lot of that, but that's not the case.
Now, the team is going to be a really good team this year, an elite team. The last game of the series, Chris Bassett made his debut for the Jays, and he got lit up. I mean, it was the worst appearance that he had. Certainly gave up 9 earned runs on 10 hits. I mean, 2 of the first 3 in 3 pitches, there were 2 home runs out there. But I want to talk to you about Bassett a little bit. Obviously, that game was just kind of it was a bad game. It was a bad debut for Bassett. I saw Bassett pitch last year over and over again with the Mets. Very reliable. But one thing that struck me last year, and I think it's getting into Chris's head a little bit. They got to fix it. First of all, he never used the pitch com before. He never called his own pitches before. That was a rule that Major League Baseball instituted towards the end of spring training. So now the pitchers can call their own game right from the pitch com. And he never did that before. But he was always like not laboring, but last year, he was so methodical in between pitches. So methodical. And he used to irritate the opposing teams. He'd irritate everybody because he was just slow. Now he's got the pitch clock to worry about. I think all of that got into his head, and he just wasn't right. So they got to fix that.
Yeah, and they will. And like you said, but you saw an awful lot of them. And the kid's had success. All of a sudden, he doesn't know how to pitch. But when they put these new rules in with pitch clocks and things, that's probably the number one question you get asked is, how's that going to work? And they'll adjust. I mean, they're big league players, but there's some guys out there that's not their style, at one point, maybe when they were starting out, that they work fast, or somebody might have told them, hey, slow or let's speed it up, it'll help you. They couldn't do it, right? And they said, well, what makes this guy click, right? Well, he's a little more, like you said, methodical. He's pretty damn good when he does it, right? And
he was the most reliable. He was the most reliable guy on the Mets staff last year. He really was.
Yeah. See, so it doesn't take much to throw these guys a little out of whack, and especially when you can do something all spring long, but it's different. The games, it's not the game doesn't count, right? Mm-hmm. So it's an adjustment period for him. Now you're getting these real games where he knows every pitch he makes, it's going to affect the game, probably, right? Obviously. So now you take him a little bit out of his element. So, I keep hearing everybody's raving about the pitch clock. Okay, great, whatever. I don't mind watching a long baseball game as long as it's a good game. The beauty of baseball is everybody can play it. Tall, short, skinny, fat, great athlete, non-athlete, and they're all different in how they're at their best. So maybe we ought to let them be at their best, for crying out loud. That's what we want. But, and I guess if we're trying to, whatever.
Yeah. Well, the first time in Jay's history, they did not hit a home run after opening a season. So 0 home runs from a team that is going to hit home runs this year.
Well, there you go. And especially that game yesterday, St. Louis hit them, right? Home runs win. There's no secret, but you got to get guys on base so you're not hitting a bunch of solo shot. Like we'll go back to our guest today, Whit. Whit's getting on base machine, make things happen, set the table for those big boys.
Absolutely. I have another question for you as a manager now. Now you have a team that the Blue Jays opening up on the road, finishing the series in St. Louis, heading to Kansas City for 4, then flying out to California to face the Angels this weekend. How does that affect the team? I mean, you're opening up a new season on the road for 10 days, and then you got to fly from California back to Toronto for your home opener. What type of effect does that have on the club?
Well, that's a tough road trip to start the season. It's the reason why you got to go out west, right? Then come home. But they got all the new stadium renovations, and they need a little extra time, I guess, to get all that finalized. But one thing we'd always do, the coaching staffs, and or even when the New Year's schedule come out, you always look at your schedule, right? Especially out of the gates, because everybody wants to start off good. And so if you look at their schedule starting off, it's very favorable to them. You go to St. Louis. St. Louis is a great ball club. They always are every year. They're just,
great franchise.
Yeah, exactly. They've always, historically, that's what they are. So you go into that thing. Okay, we'll see what happens, right? They won the first game, lost 2. Great teams are supposed to win at home, so we'll give that to the Cardinals, right? Then they go to Kansas City, who's been scuffling, right? They're in a rebuilding mode. They've made some changes over there. 4 games there. There's no guarantees, but you don't mind. You don't mind going there, right? Then it's better there than going and playing in Houston, let's say, right? That's just a fact. It's nothing against anybody. Okay, then you go out to Anaheim. In California, they've been scuffling the last few years, right? They still got 2 of the greatest players in the game on their team. Rendon's back. And they, made some additions. But you don't know how they're going to be. You don't look at them and go, well, there's the Astros again or something, or what? There's the
House of Horrors down in Tampa.
Yes, exactly. Okay, then you come home with a day off to regroup. Then you open up at home with Detroit. They just got swept down there in Tampa. So it's nothing against these teams, but you kind of look at it and go, what? Hey, we play some decent ball. We should be okay. But it's never that easy. So I would expect them to come out of this road trip and start the homestand and being in really good shape.
Corner booths, sticky floors, weekdays that feel like weekends. You never forget the way some things taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 90 calories. Tastes like Miller time.
You are listening to the Gibby Show presented by Miller Lite. I enjoyed a few Miller Lights during, especially opening day. I was watching 3 games at once, John. I was watching the Mets with their opening day win. I was watching the Jays, and I was also watching Jacob deGrom. I was watching 3 games simultaneously, so of course I had to have a Miller Lite next to me. It's a flavor you want. As good as a winning opening series, and it's left with the stuff you don't want.
Hey, man, it tastes like Miller time, brother. And you know what?
The light
beer, it's a light beer that tastes good, man. They all can't say that, right?
No, it was Miller time all weekend, man. I was watching baseball. I was following everything that was going on. There were a couple of major injuries that were announced. I mean, Justin Verlander, the $86 million man for the New York Mets, last year's Cy Young Award winner, was placed on the IL by the Mets on opening day with something that was called a low-grade teres major strain. He'll be reevaluated this week with more imaging. So even though the club is minimalizing this injury, as is Verlander, it's just another Mets misery moment, in my opinion. Snake bit as they are, They're
3-1, man. What the heck?
They are 3-1. They are because Cody Senga, the free agent from Japan, made his debut yesterday, and he had a really rough first inning. But this guy has this ghost pitch, this ghost fork ball, and he didn't even show it to anybody until opening day. I didn't even use it in spring training because the baseball was a little bigger. But, in the first inning, I'm like, this guy's going to get shelled. And he was very nervous. He couldn't get his rhythm. And then all of a sudden, the pitching coach goes to the mound, has a little talk with him. He's lights out for the rest of the game, for the next 4.5 innings, 5 innings, 8 strikeouts. And this ghost pitch, I mean, they say it disappears to a hitter. It comes and then disappears. So everyone who's seen it, even the opposing players who's Miami saw it, and they were like, this guy's incredible. He's going to be a superstar.
There's going to be nice nightmares out there. We're dreaming about it. I watched some of that game yesterday too, and that first inning, well, both guys scuffled that first inning, right? Nobody could throw it over the plate. But you know what? There we go back. We're talking about Manoah a while ago. Sometimes it's the first star jitters, especially this kid, first big league start, right?
So his first big league start, and then you talk about the star pitchers pitching opening day who were shelled. DeGrom started his season with his new team, the Rangers, and didn't fare well. He gave up 5 runs, 6 extra base hits, was pulled in the 4th inning, and DeGrom had never given up as many extra base hits in his entire career. And here he is. I mean, he got lit. Like a lot of other guys got lit opening day.
Exactly. It happens. I like to think, though, maybe you got the Bochy effect down there. Boch didn't panic, man. The team felt good. They came back and overcame against a World Series team.
Right. They won. They won 3 straight. They won 3 straight. So they did pretty well. And another thing about the Braves lost Max Fried. He strained a hamstring covering first base. He's going on the 15-day IL at any point now. Snitker, the manager of the Braves, said the strain will probably prohibit Fried from getting on the mound for a while. And no one knows what that means right now. But it could be 15 days, could be a month. Who knows? But that's a big blow for the Braves.
It's amazing. And these guys are bigger and faster and stronger and all that. And just like, the common man walking the streets than they used to be, right? But we got all this new medical technology and these so-called programs that really supposed to do one. If I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it just seems like guys get hurt more now than they ever did. I can remember towards the end of my term there in Toronto, we were Josh Donaldson hurt like his calf in spring training, right? And so I was talking to, one of the person was out there with him, and he said, well, no, he was just running doing some sprints now, but he was using them like a medicine ball or some kind of ball or something, right? Something out of the ordinary. It wasn't just like a damn sprint like they used to run, and it's probably some. So he probably got a little off balance or something. Who knows? Something. What are we doing here? You know, what are we going to reinvent the wheel? He's getting older anyway. Is this going to?
It's just like Verlander. Verlander said that he could probably pitch with it, but might as well, just go on the side of caution. And it's like, I remember Gibson, Seaver, Nolan Ryan. I remember Steve Carlton. I remember all these guys. I go back a long way, and it was like they pitched every 3 days. They pitched 8-9 innings. It was just kind of like the conditioning today. I mean, you can make an argument for it, but everything is so technical today. But give me the late 60s when you see guys out there grinding every 3 days.
I was in spring training with the Texas Rangers in 1989. And Charlie Huff, the great knuckleball, was in there. He was on that team, and that, and I saw him one day. He was riding a stationary bike after the workout, smoking a cigarette. I go, now there you go. And that was just and he was in a hurry because he had to go play 18 holes at the golf course. So hey, I want to say one thing. You're talking about Senga this first start. And I mentioned the Bochy effect. One thing about Bochy down there in Texas is great confidence, right? So the Rangers guys, I'm guaranteed they didn't sense any panic, and they loved it, and they came back. But as far as Senga goes, and it might happen to a young manager, maybe not, but one thing, Buck Showalter, another guy, seasoned guy, has been around forever, right? He could have very easily gone to yank Senga, and I think he threw 30 some pitches, which
over 30, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting in the danger zone, right? You got to get somebody going because you don't want to leave somebody out there to rot, right? And then they get hurt, right? But you could see, they'd flash Showalter in the dugout. He looked like he was churning, man. He's decided what he's gonna do, but he stuck by the guy, and then he ends up pitching a great ball game. And it looks like a great pitch. It's just like it's deception, right? That's what pitching is. But the umpire too. He had some rookie umpire, and they're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to make every perfect call, and so he squeezed him on some calls that could have helped him out. But you know what? The kid's going to be good just by surviving that. A lot of guys don't survive that. And next they go out there next outing, they're hoping this guy's feeling good this next outing.
Yeah, he's very confident, and the Mets certainly need him with the team that their average age is probably in the pitching staff of 35, 36. It's going to be.
It'd be like me and you go out there pitching and catching.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I don't need as much money as they do, but I'll certainly take the major league minimum at this point. That's about wrapping up this opening segment. In just a minute, we're going to bring on Whit Merrifield and have our Gabbing with Gibby, brought to you by Tim Hortons. But for baseball fans on the go, Tim Hortons has a snack for that. New savory pastries are available in herb, garlic, and jalapeno flavors, baked fresh throughout the day, and now served warm. Gibby, did you partake this weekend in any of Tim's Anytime Snackers?
Yes, I did, but I can tell you from the north, man, it's jalapenos.
Jalapeno.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, they had one,
you say tomato, I say tomato. Right?
Roosevelt or Roosevelt. Anyway.
Arezzi, right?
That's right. No, but as a matter of fact, we were traveling out there, I was out heading. When we were going from Calgary to Veteran, stopped at a Tim Horton and put a little video out there. But yeah, I grabbed one of those on the run, man, because we had to hurry up and get there. But I enjoyed them. I think they'll be a big hit. Well, I had jalapeno. Yes, that's exactly what I had. Go.
Have one of each. Every time you go, have a different flavor.
That's right.
There you go.
Exactly.
We're gonna have a great conversation with Whit Merrifield and Gabbing with Gibby with Whit. Now it's time for another Gabbing with Gibby's, brought to you by Tim Hortons. As we mentioned earlier in the show, this week's guest is a guy that Jays manager John Schneider says is going to be a key part of the team here in 2023, a true gamer who joined the Jays last summer from Kansas City. He's a two-time All-Star, three-time American League stolen base champion. We'd like to welcome Whit Merrifield to the show and Gabbing with Gibby. Whit, how you doing?
Great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Whit, man, hey, I got to start out right here. I don't know you that well, but I tell you what, I'm a big fan. I've always been a big fan. And I spent some time coaching in Kansas City, and I know the people there. You're the ultimate team guy. They loved you there. The Blue Jays are in a good spot. So it's kind of it's a reunion tonight, though. First time back, huh?
Yeah, first time back. Came in from St. Louis yesterday, so got in a good hour. My wife's here, so we got to go to dinner in our favorite spot. Go have a drink at our favorite spot, and just kind of be nostalgic yesterday, and then today get to go to the field relatively early, see some guys, and then it's all business from there.
Yeah. How many years did you play there in Kansas City total? Do you remember off the top of your head?
My rookie year was 2016, but I was drafted in 2010, and pretty much had the same. The front office that is there now was the same front office that drafted me, and I was with them forever. Okay. So,
it's going to be it's an emotional time,
since 2010.
It's an emotional time for you, because you spent a lot of time there. You had great success, and you're really the face of that team back then. You and Salvi, behind the plate. You were the all-stars. It's pretty impressive. You're a two-time all-star. You led the league in stolen bases. That's kind of and that kind of gets overlooked nowadays, the base running part, the stolen base. I think hopefully does it seem like it's coming back a little bit, because everything went power. But we can't. Hey, people got to know too. You can burn them deep too. It's not like you're just out there playing that slap game now. So but I guess my point, you're just an all around player. You draw walks, you get on base, you can steal a bag when you need it. You're not stealing a bag when anybody could. You're stealing one when most guys can't. So you're in scoring position all the time like that. So it's really, you're a complete ball player, and that's kind of been lost in the game. But is it coming back a little bit?
I think so. With these new rule changes, there's ways to get around stealing bases now. It makes it a little bit easier, a little more accessible. Pitchers can only pick over twice. So you're going to be able to have a little more lean towards second, be a little more aggressive about a lot of things. What went away from it was analytics telling teams it's not valuable to try to do that. The risk reward, it's not worth the risk, because if you get thrown out, it's more detrimental than beneficial. And when you look at it from an analytics standpoint, there's so much that goes to it that analytics can't quantify. The pitcher taking his focus off of the hitter, a hitter getting more fastballs because they're more concerned with making sure the ball gets to the plate quick and giving the catcher something good to throw. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think these rule changes will kind of bring that back a little bit, hopefully.
Yeah. Because I can tell you, even when I was managing against you, right, there's certain guys on certain teams in line. If you get a big thumper that comes to the play, right, he's going to drive a ball or he's going to strike out, right? And if he gets on base, he's going to clog it up, right? So one of those things are going to happen. Okay, you deal with it. When a guy like yourself gets on, just like you mentioned, now you got to worry about you over there. It disrupts the pitcher. There's just a lot of different things, it puts pressure on the pitcher. He can't walk it because then things all break loose. And I wanted real quick, you guys, the opening day, right? It was a crazy one of those crazy ball games. Nobody knows, that you go into it and everybody usually thinks it's going to be a pitching duel and things like that. But there's hits flying everywhere, and it's neither bullpens can shut anybody down. But the key at bat in that game, and Springer got 5 hits. I think Bichette got 5 hits. The key at bat in that game though was yours. You're going into the 9th inning. You're down a run. Closers in the game, right? A simple walk, right? If you don't walk there, right? Against the top relievers in the game, that doesn't happen. But since sometimes it gets overlooked because you set records for hits and it's like just a circus sometimes, But that's what you were talking about here, and that's you get on base, good things happen.
Yeah, yeah, especially right there in that part of the game, it was critical for me to get on base, not only to lead off the inning, but that me getting on base pretty much guaranteed Bo and Vladdy getting back up, and you want those guys, your hoss is up in the bottom of the 9th inning with the game on the line. So, drew a walk there, and KK got a big hit in the 4-hole, went first to third, and then we were able to do enough to take the lead. And when it seemed like nobody could get anybody out, Romy came in and made it look easy.
Hey, if they give you your 500, 550, 600 bats this year, whatever it might be, that team's going to be so much better off, because you're one of those guys, you know what, you'll get on and it sets the table. Springer, he'll drive into runs, depending on where they hit you in the lineup. Right now they got you sitting down at the bottom. That's perfect, though, setting the table for those guys, and they're rolling around Bichette and Vladdy and all that. Those guys have a field day because you'll be on base, and you know what, they don't need you necessarily always to be in scoring position. But there's nothing wrong with, that little sacrifice fly that Vladdy hits either, to put you up. There's nothing wrong. He doesn't have to get a hit, right? So anyway, so you're a very valuable part to that team. And your type of player, that's what winning teams have. So, I echo what Schneider says. But they just got to give you that 500 plus at bats, and they'll be a better team than they've ever been. So, all right.
We'll see. I'm looking forward to having a full season in the Rogers Hoffman. I've got this playing in Kauffman Stadium. It's a big park, and there's a lot of balls that are hit that are doubles or even outs that other places are home runs, and you're looked at differently when those balls go over the fence instead of hitting 40, 50 doubles. If you got 20, 25 home runs, you're viewed a little differently as a player. So looking forward to a full season in a park that's a little more hitter friendly.
Hey, but you've hit your share of home runs now. It's not like I was checking out your stat. You've hit your share of home runs. I don't know if people always realize.
People don't seem to realize that. They see that I steal a lot of bases, so they just assume I got no power. But I've hit 40 plus doubles. I don't know, 3-4 years, and I've hit double-digit home runs every year but my rookie year and the COVID year. But the COVID year I hit 9, so I count that as a double-digit home run year. So I can drive the ball. People forget I can drive the ball, but I'm looking forward to continuing to show that.
Well, perfect, man. Well, all right. Hey, people are saying you lost 2 out of 3 in St. Louis. It's baseball, right? Some people say, well, the sky is falling, this and that. It's not falling. But is everybody feeling good though for the most part? Everybody came in ready to go, and it's just one of those deals, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a good team over there. St. Louis got a good team. We got a good team too, and they did more than we did to win those last 2 games. When you're playing a team like that, you can't afford to give them anything, and we weren't able to play as cleanly as we needed to win those 2 games. But they're a good team, and we know how long the season is. We know what kind of team we have, and we know we weren't going to go 162-0 and win every series. So.
Fans think you might, though. Fans think you will. 160.
Yeah. Baseball fandom is funny sometimes. They kind of gets overlooked at how long of a season it is and how difficult of a game it is, and it's more like this than any other sport that you're going to play. So we'll be just fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know what? But I think the problem is you guys make it look easy out there. Big league ball players make the game look easy, and the further you get away from that field, man, the easier it gets. So well, all right. Well, I know you got a bunch of guys. You got to say your hellos today to everybody, and hey, we hope you enjoyed. And like I said, if they get you in there every day, pretty much every day, get your bats. You know what? You'll help take that team to the top because you got a great team. You guys really do. So hey, we want to thank you for your time coming on here. We appreciate it, especially on a day like this. When you're going back to your old stomping ground. So, and tell your wife we appreciate you letting us or steal you for.
I will. I'll let her know.
All right, Whit. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Well, another great gabbing with Gibby. Good interview there. I know that he was pressed for a little time. He's got a big game, a new series, but another good one, John.
Yeah, he's a good guy, good ball player. Just a hard-nosed player. Yeah, he had. it's like a reunion for him. His first game back in Kansas City.
Yes.
And you got to get over and say, you know how that goes.
You got friends, you got family, you got acquaintances. Yeah, you know.
I've always been a big fan of this kid, his style of game. You know, it's a winning type game that he plays, and he's a table setter. But he's more dangerous than that, you know, because he's got some sock in his bat. You can put him anywhere. He can run inside the league. Yeah, he makes things happen, and you have to have those guys if you're going to win, to complement the
right. And you got versatility too. I mean, you got the guy that plays, you know, literally 5 positions, all 3 outfield, second base, fills in at first. You got a guy that Schneider could put anywhere.
Plus, look at the guy, man. If there's one guy on that team they ought to be doing a commercial with, you see how that good-looking dude? That's the All-American boy right there.
There you go. Speaking of All-American boys, I mean, you're one yourself, John. Want to remind everybody that the Gibby Show is presented by Miller Lite, now inspired by our friends there. Let's get Gibby's roast and toast for the week. Gibby, who you roasting this week?
Gosh, you know, I'm roasting baseball
in general,
and it's nothing the new rules. But you know what's funny? You know, a lot of those new rules were put in, not the ones primarily this year, but in the past, with the play at the plate or second base, it's to protect these guys as if everybody's getting hurt all the time, right? Now I just seem to think it seems like guys get hurt more now this day and age than they ever did, right? And we got, you know, we're smarter. We got all this new technology. You know, just a couple big names, you know, Max Fried, he's banged up now. That's huge for the Braves. And Verlander, you know, Verlander, you run the risk because he's older anyway. But, and you know, these aren't career threatening or anything like the Diaz thing where he's done for the year. Quit crying, man. I know it's the Mets, but you know, it just seems like it happens more and more now. And it's almost commonplace, you know, and what makes it even worse, I think they give these guys scheduled days off now, you know, throughout this. So, I mean, anyway, so maybe I'm not roasting baseball.
Roasting baseball.
I'm roasting the medical community. Let's go.
There you go. You're roasting everything. You're roasting all the baseball and the medical community and all the.
I'm just bitter Gibbons.
Well, to turn it around, you got to toast somebody this week. And so who is your choice for toast of the week?
Yeah, for a guy that's probably had some medical issues himself when you watch him walk out to the mound. Bruce Bochy. Bochy, an old catcher, man. I'm sure them joints and them legs and everything, the back are hurting. But I tell you what, I want to salute him. I was always a big fan. You know, he watched his career as a manager in the 3 world championships out there in San Francisco. Then he retired, semi-retired, I guess you could say. And good for the Texas Rangers bringing him back. You know, they built a new stadium. The owners go, we're all in. So we better have somebody here that can guide this ship, right? And they invested all this money. And I guarantee, you know, they first 3 games of the season against the National League champs, Philadelphia Phillies, and they fell behind early. Yeah. What I'm going to tell you, you know, it may have something to do with it, may not, but I guarantee you when DeGrom struggled early and fell behind, there was no panic in Boch. Boch just sit over there probably grinning, patting the guys on the shoulder. There's just something about this guy, right? And they responded, you know, he's going to do that for them. Not only are they talented, they're going to be feeling so good about themselves. And Boch, you know, Boch is a smart guy. He understands the numbers and the analytics and all that. But I guarantee there's a little more in that head of his. He's got a big head, man. He used to have the biggest head in baseball. And you got to store all the knowledge, man. You don't have that kind of success without, you know, you had to put the knowledge somewhere. But he's gonna be a difference maker because he's going to combine the smarts of it, the analytics end of it, with the human element and what motivating guys. And so that's.
There you go.
If I had a Miller Lite, if it wasn't so early in the day, I'd toast him with a Miller Lite.
There you go. So the roast and the toast, and we'll have another one next week. And of course, it's courtesy and inspired by our friends at Miller Lite.
Corner booths, sticky floors, weekdays that feel like weekends. You never forget the way some things taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 90 calories. Tastes like Miller time.
All right, we're back for the final few minutes of the show, and I do want to talk to you, John, about a special charity live auction that's taking place right now with the Well, actually, it's for the Special Olympics in Canada. And your wife, Christy, is involved. And there's a auction item up that is going to, for the winning bidder, have a great prize package. But first, tell us how you and Christy got involved in the Special Olympics for Canada.
Well, Mark, our producer, got me hooked up with it. It's a great cause, and I love doing it. And my wife, my better half by far, right? She loves photography. I've sent stuff out there. We
great photographer.
Yeah, she does a great job. She loves the wildlife end of it. She also does portrait stuff, but she in our backyard. We get all these birds flying around. In a blue jay flew into our neighbor's yard, so she got her camera out. She had a decent lens on the thing. And, we'd hear them. They make a unique sound, but I'd never seen one, right? And she got a picture of, he was sitting in the neighbor's yard, took it. It was just a fun thing of ours. And then Mark, called and said, he'd seen it, and we put it together, and it's perfect. We're covering the Blue Jays, right? Beautiful picture though. So they're auctioning that off, and it's
up for auction, and the winning bidder, from what I understand, I heard there's a really great prize package. The person who wins this item is going to get that signed by Christy and signed by you, framed photo, which is kind of cool. They also get a meet and greet with you, John.
Is that Christy, good or bad?
Probably, right? Hopefully Christy too. They can meet the photographer as well.
She's a dog sitter now, but go ahead.
Okay. 4 signed copies of your book. Also 4 100 level seats to an upcoming or future Blue Jays game. Wow. What a prize package for someone who wins this bid. And of course, the proceeds going to a wonderful charity, Special Olympics Canada.
Yeah, it is a great package. I guess it depends on who you ask. The tickets are great and all that, but if my book and a meet and greet with me, I'm sure that's subjective and who you ask.
Hey, the book is out. The book is out. This is the week. It's here. All the hard work, all the interviews that you've done. I will never forget the text you sent me last week after another interview request came in, and you just put in caps, "Uncle."
Johnny, it's been fun. I hope people enjoy it, because I enjoyed it. I appreciate you setting all that thing up, getting it moving. But
but it's here now. All the work from getting Greg Oliver, telling your story to him, the work, the photograph, everything, to putting it together, and the marketing and the PR and the interviews. It's here. It's out.
Yeah, and I hope they enjoy. I think they'll enjoy it. I hope when they're finished, they smile and say, "You know what? I enjoyed doing that, reading that." So we'll see.
A lot of people have said that the reviews have been really good. So I know you're a pretty modest guy. You don't like to talk about yourself a lot. You really don't in a lot of ways. But I think it's something to be proud of.
Yeah. Oh, I am.
And it's gonna do really, really well.
And my mother's proud of it.
That's all that matters.
And she thinks you're a wonderful co-host.
She endorsed me. You told me that she endorsed me. She thought we had good chemistry, right?
Hey, real quick too, before we got to go, she also told me the other day, say, Johnny, she talks in her English accent, Johnny, that's a more New Yorker, I think. But she said, John, I love the show. I really like John Arezzi. I think he's a great co-host with you. She said, can I give you some advice? Because I've been getting all over when she gives me advice. She goes, you need some darker shirts on them show. I said, what are we talking about? She goes, you wore like a light blue. And she goes, and you mixed right. You look like you're one of those pictures behind you. Wear a darker shirt. I said, all right, Mom, whatever.
There you go. Well, I hope she's happy with what I'm wearing today too. So
if I start wearing darker clothes, it doesn't mean I'm mourning anything. It's just that I'm just still got to listen to your mother.
You got to listen to your mom always, first and foremost. Well, you got a busy schedule. You're going to be up in Canada coming up. There's things going on. There'll be appearances. And I think next Monday, we'll be able to give everybody where you're going to be at Costco's and the other things where people could come and see you. And, of course, you got that big sports card expo up in Toronto the 3rd week of April. We'll talk more about that. And, of course, we're going to talk more baseball with everybody next week here on the Gibby Show. For John Gibbons, my name is John Arezzi. We will talk with you again next week. Have a great week, everybody. Let's go Blue Jays, and let's go Mets.